Metastatic urothelial cancer is associated with a poor outcome. This is particularly apparent in those patients who are not eligible for cisplatin-based therapy. These patients currently get carboplatin-based therapy. It's an area of unmet need. We know that metastatic urothelial cancer or bladder cancer patients have a high proportion, about 25%, have FGFR alterations, fibroblast growth factor receptor alterations. And we've developed, Johnson & Johnson and other people, have developed Erdafitinib, which is an FGFR inhibitor. And it's been shown to have response rates between 30 and 40% in patients with platinum refractory disease. These patients have to have FGFR alterations in their tissue. The question we've asked is whether in the frontline setting, Erdafitinib or Erdafitinib with a PD-1 inhibitor called Cetrelimab has significant efficacy. So we've done a randomized phase 2 trial for patients with metastatic urothelial cancer who are cisplatin ineligible, have FGFR alterations, getting a 1-to-1 randomization of Erdafitinib or Erdafitinib plus Cetrelimab. To explore whether Erdafitinib or the combination of Erdafitinib plus Cetrelimab had activity in frontline metastatic urothelial cancer patients with FGFR alterations who are ineligible for cisplatin-based therapy, initially we took tissue, which potentially was archived tissue, from patients to make the diagnosis of metastatic urothelial cancer. It was then tested for the presence of alterations to FGFR2 or FGFR3. Those patients, about 25% of patients who did have alterations, then had eligibility checklists to make sure they were otherwise eligible for the trial, such as cisplatin eligibility. And if they were eligible, they went on to get a 1-to-1 randomization to Erdafitinib, which is the FGFR inhibitor, or Erdafitinib plus Cetrelimab, which is a combination of FGF and PD-L1 inhibition. The patient numbers in both arms, the planned trial was for 90 patients, and that's ongoing, but there was an interim analysis which we're presenting after only 40 patients, and that's what we're presenting here today. Results of the Norse trial, which is a randomized phase 2 study comparing Cetrelimab plus Erdafitinib versus Erdafitinib alone, showed responses for the single agent Erdafitinib in approximately 20 patients of 33%, while in the combination, also about 20 patients, responses of 68%. The response rate appeared higher in the combination arm. It's too early to say progression-free survival and overall survival, but the spider plot showed some durable responses in the combination. Also, a very small proportion of patients had progression of disease as best response, which was encouraging. We also showed grade 3 to 4 adverse events of 50% in the combination and 38% in the monotherapy arm. There was one suspected treatment-related death, or one treatment-related death of respiratory failure, which in the combination arm, which is something which we will take forwards. There didn't appear to be pneumonitis in that case. And so overall, I think it's fair to say that these preliminary results of the Norse trial are very encouraging for the combination. The Norse trial does have the potential to change the way we think about urothelial cancer, perhaps not with only 20 patients actually change practice today, but with response rates in the high 60%, 68% for the combination. That appears competitive in this environment. Now, I realize it's a selected group of patients and we don't know what the response rates to chemotherapy are in this selected group. Nevertheless, I suspect the combination would beat chemotherapy in a randomized trial, And so my preference would be to go on and test that formally. We could either do that within the context of the Norse trial by extending it and recruiting more patients, or we could start again. There are also other implications. One could look at other settings for patients with FGFR alterations, and that could be earlier in the disease, or indeed later in the disease, if that's what we chose to do. The next steps for Norse is for us to continue enrolment, encourage enrolment. I think it's really important. These trials are actually difficult to do. Personalised therapy trials are difficult to do, particularly when only 1 in 4 patients is eligible. We need to encourage the ongoing recruitment into Norse, which I think is important, to try and get the trial done. And I think we need to get together in the community and work out what are the next steps for this combination, which I think looks efficacious.